That's right. You guys need to put your houses up for sale. Quit your job and get out of those cities. I know that sounds like a crazy bit of advice, doesn't it? And I'd never give you advice that I didn't take myself. Back in 2020, when everything was going good and we lived up near the city of Chicago and I was running a business, everything was good. Until that 2 week lockdown to flatten the curve stretched into 16 months. A business can't thrive when they force you to close for that long. And I would like to add that any of that SBA assistance that they were talking about was for female and minority owned businesses. So after I was turned down by everybody and all they could tell me was, you have our sympathy. Now, my own bank told me their underwriters would not work with me because I wasn't a female or minority owned business. And then I told my wife, I go, look, we have a lease and a mortgage. We have 2 electric bills, 2 water bills, 2 gas bills, And it came down to a point to where it was either, well, do I pay the lease instead of the mortgage, hoping that this is going to turn around, which it didn't. I closed my office. I mean, they were flooding Illinois with immigrants. We had waves of homeless people that started moving through, and I had people on my front porch sleeping. It was crazy. I've never seen anything like that. Crime shot through the roof. Police, don't even get me started, man. I really don't know how I feel about our boys in blue anymore. I know there's some good people here and there, but it seems like if given the order to stand down while the city burns to the ground, they'll do it to protect their pension. So I liquidated everything, man. I was in a band. I let all my gear go. I'm a Pro Tools user. Actually, I produced my own CD. I might share when I get enough subscribers. But I closed the business, man. I mean, it was an easy decision. It was either that or end up homeless when nobody's helping you and all they tell you is, well, you have our sympathy. Well, okay, then I'm leaving Illinois, right? So I got rid of all my gear. I got rid of my mixing board, my drum kit, my TD9, my bass rig. I had a Nicky 6 signature Gibson Blackbird. Oh, I love that bass. But I had to let it go, man. There was somewhat of a mass exodus in Illinois at the time, and it was hard to get a U-Haul because they replenished their fleets by people moving into the state. But everybody was moving out. You have to understand, okay, regardless of where the housing market is right now, fear is going to keep it going. And know that every house in your neighborhood that puts a for sale sign up in their front yard is going to affect what you're going to get for your house. Get rid of everything, man. I'm telling you, it was one of the greatest things that I ever did. Because up there, yeah, I had modern conveniences. I could get up and walk anywhere. To the gas station, get a pack of smokes, a gallon of milk or whatever. But the thing was, we had stabbings, we had shootings, and it got so bad. All right, it wasn't people that looked like me doing it either. And it got so bad that the city council was wanting to stop posting pictures of people who were being arrested because they thought it seemed racist. Well, if there's a certain community guilty of all the crime, then it's not racist, it's holding them accountable. But that's what happens in blue states when you have Democrats running the show. There's this narrative, and they try to protect it regardless of the disastrous consequences of their horrible decisions. Man, when some of my clients who were in real estate were talking to me about how banks at the time, around 2020, was approving loans on homes for as much as 60 grand over value, I told my wife, I said, that's crazy. That doesn't make sense. They're crashing the ship. You realize how equity works, right? So if you're going to pay or get financed on a house for $60,000 more than it's worth, you'll never see any equity. They're crashing the ship. 2030 is going to happen, okay? Now, are you going to be stuck in the city when they implement the next lockdown, or are you going to get the hell out while you can? I'm telling you, it's a different way of life in the country, But you don't want to pick just any small town. I know, you're like, well, I want peace and quiet. I see you guys sharing those cabins. Just give me X amount of dollars and give me this cabin. I'll live in the woods and I'll be completely happy. Will you? Know that a lot of these small communities aren't very welcoming to people who move here from other places. So you want to avoid those small towns with a small population. Because you also have to understand that you don't want to be in a position where you have to drive 2 hours to get a gallon of milk. Yeah, I know property's cheap in those areas, but there's a reason for that. Also know that even places like Walmart, all right, say like Breathitt County, for example, I've seen them run out of bread for a couple of days at a time, tuna for weeks at a time. Don't do that to yourself. It's unrestricted outskirts of higher populated areas that you want to look at. Anywhere where the population's a little higher, still kind of a small town, but not so much that they gossip and blacklist you because this guy's from somewhere else. Had stupid dogs up on somebody's property barking at something. It took me, when I finally got a U-Haul, it was a 15-footer. I had to leave pretty much everything behind. It was just me, my wife, my boy, our kitchen table, our clothes, our pictures, and that was it. I had, I got my chickens on the back of the truck. We moved to the mountains. I mean, our closing was touch and go, man. And anytime I'd put money down on a property, the closing would fall apart. And then finally at the last minute, they said, hey, it's back on. Can you be out in 2 days? Well, I had to take it because the longer I stayed in that house, the greater the risk was that somebody else was going to put their house up for sale and I'd lose value. So I took it, bought a place in the mountains based on just a handful of photos, and I got the hell out of Dodge. Now, I don't recommend you doing that. All right. Like that, but I mean, I did. And when we sold, I was able to clear all of my debt and pay cash for a house. Now I don't have any debt, I mean, I get it. You have stuff. You're comfortable. You have benefits. Right. Until the next lockdown. And is it going to be militarily enforced? Don't do that to yourself. Don't wait until it's too late. We went back 6 months after we left, and there was 5 more houses on our block that just suddenly went up for sale. And I can tell you for sure that they didn't get what they put it up for. You have to think. This is survival mode. Look what happened in Maui. That was a land grab. Look at East Palestine. All of these chemical spews, these derailments, they're orchestrated. They're thinning the herd. They're poisoning the land. So I'd also recommend avoiding anywhere where there's a rail yard. You know what I mean? Now we do have a highway going by. It's nothing. There's no real, population here that would be necessary for them to pull a chemical spill because, it's just mountainside. And that's the beauty of living in the mountains. You just can't take a busload of immigrants and dump them off in the woods. You know what I mean? They like those flatter parts of the country, like Tennessee. Property's really going up there. And Memphis is up for grabs. If you guys look at that on Zillow, you can get a house for 25 grand, but it's in rough condition. How self-sufficient are you? That's the way I did it, man. I bought a house that it was a fixer-upper, man. It needed a wrecking ball, but I ended up making about 15 grand on the flip. We lived out of boxes the whole time. I never settled into that place, man. I mean, it was just so secluded, and I liked the quiet. I loved seeing all the stars at night. It was amazing. The wildlife in the woods, the toads, everything. It was a beautiful place. But they lied about the amount of land, okay? And because we were right on the edge of a flood zone, I couldn't really farm anything there, man. And it was so rocky up in the mountains. It's like, it's a wonder that anybody chooses to live in the mountains, A lot of these people, they go, yeah, I own 25 acres, but they got a tiny yard. Because really what they're saying is they own X amount of mountain, which is a rock. Know that. And a lot of these places, even here in Kentucky, in those deep, deep mountain areas, they have no trespassing signs up for a reason. So don't think, oh man, I can go walking in the woods anywhere I want. No, you can't. And they'll enforce it with gunfire. Okay? It's a different way of life. It's a culture shock, even for me. I mean, my people are from East Tennessee, but I don't know, they just seem like they have a lot of meth heads there. And they do have them here in Kentucky, but where I'm at right now, I could probably count on one hand how many I've seen. So I'm in a good area. You want to zoom in on those maps, okay? Any town that's overloaded with churches, I'm talking multi-faith churches, they're offering it as an opiate. They'll slap Jesus on anything to sell it, and they'll be the first people to screw you over. So you got to watch the Jesus people when you move in areas like that. Zoom in on those towns. What are they full of? Do they have like different, types of options for shopping? Anything other than just a Walmart and a Dollar General? You know? Or are they overloaded with drug treatment centers, welfare offices, cancer treatment centers? Okay, you got to watch those small parcels of land. You go, wow, I want my own well. That doesn't mean. I can tell you right now, most of these private wells in areas like this, they're contaminated. Okay, it's from the septic tanks. When these people who own land over time sell off parcels of it, you get like a little corner, quarter acre, whatever, you're going to put your septic tank on the piece of land that you own. And if you have a water table underneath your property, you're going to end up with a septic tank over your water table. So, I would say that I'm going to end up harvesting rainwater. I don't trust the city water anywhere I go, even though the water's pretty decent here. You can smell the chlorine in it. I haven't drank tap water since I was 14, and I'm 50, okay? Guys, you can do this. Liberate yourselves. I know that you fear change, and that's what it is. It's fear, because it doesn't make sense at this point to stay in the city. Who knows what this next lockdown is going to bring? Maybe the next outbreak is going to have an actual death toll, because let's face it, COVID was something more detectable and politicized than deadly when you look at the numbers. I mean, influenza A and B with a vaccine is still far deadlier than COVID ever was. Not to say that there weren't populations that it affected, mostly elderly. But anyway, I'm going to put out more videos on the subject. Guys, look, man, I did it. You can do it. Man, that was rough living out of boxes. I think I was planning on fixing this place up and flipping it, but I like the area. I like the town. There are options here, and I've got land I can farm, and I am not in a flood zone. Thank God. That's something that you have to be mindful about, because real estate agents will lie all day long to make a sale, and they'll even not put the proper flood zone information on a listing. So you're going to have to do your research. One of the most frustrating parts of looking into property when you're moving out of the state to an area like this is driving, getting boots on the ground. Meet your neighbors. It's not neighbors, or it's not location. It's neighbors. These people, a lot of them will be friendly with you, but man, like I was having this issue with the guy next door, he just suddenly started parking 5 trucks in my driveway. I got some earlier videos on that. We're at peace now. Do I trust him? No, because you can't trust angry people. He made up a lot of stuff to try to get me arrested because I questioned him for parking in my driveway. But see, we're cool now, and I'm just giving him his space. He's got his fence up. He stays on his side. I stay on my side. Anyway, I don't want this video to drone on too long. So, guys, think about it, all right? I'm going to put out some more stuff on the subject. I want to see you guys get out. And to those of you, just, so all you can do is plant the seed and walk away. I mean, sometimes some people have to suffer and die, but don't be that person. So until the next video, this is Lonnie coming at you once again from the Justice Appalachian Homestead. Man, I welcome all my new subscribers. It's great to have you guys on board. And until the next video, we'll holler at you later.